Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Patriotic has no more chances on its bid to take over PETROTRIN Refinery in Trinidad and Tobago. This story takes the lead in our 1053rd edition of Caribbean Perspective for Monday 22nd February 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago's finance minister has announced that it is the end of the road for the company owned by the Oilfield Workers Trade Union and its efforts to acquire the state-owned oil refinery and port at Pointe-à-Pierre. He says the company's latest position would have put a burden on the government to the tune of billions of dollars. So what happens next? Joel Brown of TV6 News reports.
Finance Minister called member to lead a post-cabinet media briefing on Thursday to discuss the cabinet's deliberations on what he described as a proposal from the OWTU-owned Patriotic Energies and Technologies Company Limited.
The refinery was closed because it was felt that it was a loss-making enterprise and that the country and the government could no longer afford the billion-dollar losses of the refinery. This proposal, which is not yet an offer, would take us right back to where we began.
Minister Imbert said analysis of two options provided by Patriotic was presented to Cabinet. He said the proposal included a US $500 million funding arrangement from Credit Suisse.
And the government pays out $5 billion, option A, $6 billion, option B. The funding provided by Credit Suisse does not come to the government. It goes to the bondholders who refinanced the PETROTRIN bond of $850 million in 2019, or 2018, I believe is the year it was.
The finance minister said in the second option, the government would have had to co-sign a loan and act as guarantor.
The government is required to make annual budgetary allocations from the consolidated fund of approximately US $127 million or 864 million TT dollars for 7 years. And it is to be noted that I'm converting the TT, but the payments are in US. So there's a foreign exchange rate risk as well as leakage of foreign exchange risk here.
In September 2019, then acting Prime Minister Colm Imbert announced that the Cabinet decided to choose Patriotic Energies and Technologies as a preferred bidder for the refinery and the port in Pointe-à-Pierre. Patriotic's bid was then US $700 million. Its initial bid was rejected by the Cabinet and an extension was given only for Patriotic's second offer to be rejected. Minister Imbert was clear on the government's position on Patriotic's latest submission as he described it.
We could not accept the proposal because the burden on the government was just too onerous. It would take us back to where we were. The country was being asked to, in fact, pay to buy its own asset because we currently own the refinery. We were asked to pay $5 billion to buy back our own asset and give it away for nothing and allow it to be mortgaged to a third party. So regrettably, the Cabinet has concluded that we can't proceed with this matter.
Minister Imbert then repeated the government's position after having rejected an earlier submission by Patriotic Energies and Technologies in January.
It was not envisaged that a bidder would ask the government to pay for its own asset, essentially. That was not envisaged. So the next step is, as I indicated, that a request for proposals is going to be prepared within the next 3 weeks. Come to Cabinet. Cabinet will sign off on the general principles, and then Trinidad and Petroleum will invite proposals afresh, anew, for the lease or sale of the refinery. So that's the next step.
Which would the government prefer, Minister, a release or all out sale?
What we want is a restart of the refinery. That's what we want.
When a question was posed as to whether this was the end for Patriotic's efforts to acquire the refinery and the port, Minister Imbert said yes. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
St. Lucia's opposition leader Philip J. Pierre says he will wait his turn for the COVID-19 vaccination. Pierre opted out of the nationally televised rollout of the vaccine program on Wednesday. He says he's concerned about the distribution of the vaccines to people who need them most. Joachim Duplessis of HTS News Force has more.
Opposition leader of SLP, Philip J. Pierre, has decided to sit out and allow those most at risk to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Nurses, doctors, police, and fire officers took the first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccines on Wednesday. Pierre was invited to be among the first persons to be inoculated. However, he says he will take the shot with the rest of the citizens.
I really want to tell all St. Lucians that the science has shown that the vaccine is effective, and I would like them to take the vaccine for their well-being, well-being of themselves and their family. As it relates to me, I was invited to take the vaccine, but I chose to allow the frontline workers, the people who are directly involved, and then when the government has a vaccination plan for the country, I will get involved. I will take the vaccine. But I really want to urge St. Lucians to follow the protocols, and the vaccine has been scientifically verified. I think they should take it also. I want to encourage them to take it.
Reports indicate that people living in poor countries are set to miss out on the vaccines as richer countries hoard doses. Pierre hopes there is fair access to the vaccines for all and politics will not play a part in the immunization drive.
So I have no issues with the vaccination. As I said before, and I'll say it again, I hope it's equitable in the distribution, and it's a public health matter. It's a matter that all St. Lucians should get involved in. There should be absolutely no political capital to be gained, and that is why I hope that the distribution is done equitably.
The opposition leader expressed gratitude to neighboring islands which have donated thousands of doses of COVID-19 vaccines.
I want to thank the governments of Barbados and Dominica, because Barbados and Dominica were ahead of us as far as that's concerned. I think we have 3,000 doses. I hope that we get some more. The aim is that we should be able to get 70% of the population vaccinated in the shortest possible time. Our party has always advocated a vaccination program. In fact, in my 7-point plan, I made a point that vaccination should be part of our fight against COVID-19.
Apart from frontline workers, persons over 65 years and older and people living with chronic conditions will be targeted in the first phase of the island's immunization program. People of medium risk, including international agencies personnel, caregivers, and persons with non-communicable diseases, will take the shot in the second phase. Joachim Duplessis, HTS News Force.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Over in Jamaica, some nearly 500,000 Jamaicans' personal data exposed by Jam COVID website. More in this Codian Barrett TVJ report.
It was a scare for most Jamaicans and more travelers when it was revealed earlier this week that there was a data breach on the government's Jam COVID website. The website and app, built by the Amber Group, stored immigration records and COVID-19 test results for hundreds of thousands of travelers who visited Jamaica since June last year following the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. The website was used for people seeking travel authorization to enter the island. Among the details that would be needed is signature, identification, and passport number. After identifying the breach, the National Security Ministry said an investigation was launched. According to U.S. online newspaper TechCrunch, the Jam COVID server contained more than 70,000 negative COVID-19 lab results and over 425,000 immigration documents authorizing travel to the island, which included the traveler's name, date of birth, and passport numbers. Health Minister Dr. Dr. Christopher Tufton was pressed on Thursday to talk about the issue. However, he was tight-lipped.
But for me to comment on a piece of an investigation or an incomplete investigation would, frankly speaking, be irresponsible and would also go against the course of natural justice. So I am saying that, hold a bit, the OPM has some jurisdictional responsibilities over the app and its application, as well as a number of other agencies, national security, health, and that's why there needs to be some coordination in determining exactly what transpired and how we can avoid it and how we cauterize any potential issues that may arise.
Dr. Tufton, however, sought to assure citizens and visitors to the island that data security is important.
We meaning the government, including the ministry, are very clear on the need to secure the personal information of those who use the app, and in particular as it relates to public health. We have had a long established tradition of confidentiality in terms of patient records. So more will be said on that in due course.
Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
In another item from Jamaica, TVJ's O'Shane Masters brings us up to speed on the total expenditure as a result of COVID-19 in Jamaica, and that it stands at $8 billion.
More than $8.8 billion has been made available to the Ministry of Health and Wellness to boost the government's bid to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Of that sum, $8.4 billion has already been spent. According to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dunstan Bryan, roughly $2.9 billion was transferred to the 4 regional health authorities.
We have also expended approximately $1.8 billion on drugs and another $672 million on medical equipment and supplies. And this is where you talk about our PPEs and other sort of sundries used to support the delivery of services.
Approximately $380 million was transferred to supporting agencies that work in tandem with the Health and Wellness Ministry.
The Ministry of Local Government, the National Solid Waste Authority, those agencies that are critical to supporting us in our work. There's been an amount that has been transferred, approximately $379 million or $380 million approximately, has been transferred to those agencies to assist the Ministry of Health.
Additionally, spending was done on almost all Type B hospitals across the island. Mr. Bryan said COVID-19 incentives and other allowances have been paid to the tune of $686 million.
And public education advertisement of $189 million have already been committed for all of the public and behavior change communication strategies that we have undertaken since the beginning of our experience with COVID-19.
In the meantime, the government will utilize some $6 billion to fund the new vaccination program, up from the $2.9 billion that was initially outlined. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Calling all vehicle owners, inspection and licensing continues, and at Hubbard's we want you to be ready. From February 16th to March 31st, registration numbers 2,501 to 5,000 with single registration letter, or registration numbers 251 to 500 with plural registration letters will receive 11% off new torque tires and PowerMax batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at the Motor Department in Mount Gay or the Tire Bay in Grand Anse near to the building supplies.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.